And that's what we're going to empower you to do today. But first, if you were at Biohacking conference.
If you're at Biohacking conference, raise your hand. Who is there? Beautiful, amazing, awesome. Such a fun event. Here's a little photo of me, Christina, and Dave at the cosmic party that one night. Yeah, and for those of you who did not raise your hand, you guys are here, which means we like to think that in one way or another, we had played a little role in you guys actually being here today.
So you were influenced by what we're about to teach you to invest your TAMI, as Joe refers to it as, your time, attention, money, energy, and effort through the power of an iconic brand and world-class website. In fact, if you made it here, you probably saw this site. And today, we're going to break down the behind the scenes of how to do this for yourself. We're going to empower you to define and design an iconic brand identity that expresses your essence and amplifies your authority. So you're here as biohackers to upgrade and optimize. Today you learn how to upgrade your brand and optimize your website to create greater longevity in your business through your brand, to clarify your message, just like this. And in fact, by doing this, you'll learn to double your sales with half the stress. You'll learn to capture and keep your audience's attention, attract more ideal clients, meaning more of the right clients into your world through your brand, attract your dream team, align your dream team and vendors, amplify your authority, again, meaning position you as the go-to solution for who you serve in the marketplace, and express your essence so you can increase your impact, influence, and income. Because we believe at Influex, which is named after, it's a word I made up for our brand, of influence plus expression. Because we believe that your greatest influence and impact and income comes through your fullest expression. So if you're in this room, it means you were already impacted and influenced in some way by Dave or Dave's brands. And in the process, you increase Dave's income. So this stuff works.
That's right.
Today, biohackers, we're going to do some brand hacking of industry icons and their brands and websites, including.
Yeah, I'm just curious out there by a raise of hands, how many of you guys feel like you have a well-defined brand? Okay, a few of you, beautiful. Well, we didn't just create the Biohacking conference and the business of biohacking, we also did Dave's recent upgrade to his personal brand. And Dave came to us with his fantastic team, and he'd actually been working with a branding person for months beforehand, really extracting his brand. And so we were able to take all of that information and to bring it into now the site that you see. And if any of you guys have been to those sites, I would imagine, and let me just hear from you, do you feel, if any of you guys have been to Dave's site, do you guys feel like it represents who he is and what he stands for? Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you. So who here has been to or will be going to this year to the Genius Network annual event? To the Genius Network annual event, or who here is in Genius Network or has ever bought something from Joe? Right, well, great that many of you here did invest your TAMI with Joe. Well worth it. And those who didn't, hopefully you get to check out this website and brand at some point, and we'll see you at one of these events. When I first met Joe, and I walked into the office, and it was for an exploration of doing his personal brand and the Genius Network website, what I noticed is the website was kind of black and white. When I walked into the Genius Network office, who's been there? I know Michael Fishman has. And so, yes. So what I noticed about Joe's space and the entrepreneurs there is wild, creatively expressed, colored doodles, all these things on the walls, and it was like an entrepreneur's paradise and playground, and yet none of that was expressed through the brand and the website. And so we got to go deep, extract the essence of the brand, and create the Genius Network website and Joe's personal brand, which is the full expression of a creative entrepreneur. Yes. And who's excited for who's coming up next? Anyone know who's up next right after us? Dame and John. Yes. Let's go back to the slides.
Sorry.
So right after us is Dame and John. And when Damon's team came to us to build the website for the Rise Nation Mastermind, we had a unique challenge because with Joe and with Dave, we had months. We had months to get to know their world, extract their essence. As Carla mentioned, Britt and Dave had already been working with Sandy, who's a brilliant brand director who was doing a lot of the extraction. We had months. In this case, they said, hey, we launched this mastermind in 30 days, and we need a really great website up. And we haven't done much in the branding. We haven't really written much of the message. And we need this really great website up. Can you guys help us with that? And of course, we really wanted to work with Dame and John, so we said yes and figured it out. How were we able to figure out? Well, one, I'd already worked closely with Roland Frazier and Ryan Dice, who were co-founders or co-creators of the mastermind at the time, and understood their brands. And two is I was already a big fan and read every one of Dame and John's books. And in fact, when I was 13, I was essentially a young rapper and wore FUBU. And that was a big part of my culture, and I was a big fan of Dame and John even back then. So what do all of these world-class websites have in common? One word: brand. And not just brand, but an iconic brand that extracted and then expressed their essence, and then got to do that on the website. Because
a discovery that we have made over our years of being branding people is that we believe that your heart is to your body, just as your brand is to your business. So hear me out here. You know, the beating heart in your body, it's pumping vital nutrients, vital energy to all of these other internal organs in the body. It literally is the energetic center of your body. And that's the same as your brand. So your brand is the energetic center pumping vital information to all of your team, all of those vendors that you bring in. You know, so many of us have experienced, we bring in a marketing team, but there's no vital information that's giving them the core foundation of how you're delivering that information. So just as a heart is to a body, a brand is to a business. We believe it's the most important, vital, pumping part.
And just like you want a healthy heart, you want to clearly define and design iconic brand identity. Question. Ponder this. Is your brand potentially suffering from an identity crisis?
We see a lot of head nods out there, yeah.
So we'll go through the 7 signs and symptoms of a brand identity crisis. Symptom number 1, your brand is inconsistent, meaning the way that it shows up throughout your social media, your website, maybe even different pages on your website is not consistent. And this is across the board. And in fact, many of the industry icons and influencers that we've worked with, before we started working with them, they absolutely had this symptom. And oftentimes, I even look at our stuff and we're a branding agency and I still find it. And so this is common. Nothing is wrong, but you get to fix it by defining and designing an iconic brand identity. Symptom number 2, incongruent. It's your message and who you're looking to serve don't quite fit, and your offer is not aligned with your brand and your message. And for most of you, the case of incongruent is actually that you have so much value to offer, and you have such a great story and such a big mission, and yet the way that that's expressed on your website and through other aspects of your external brand expression falls flat. And so we want to fix that by having it be congruent and actually communicate the value that you bring through your brand and website. And unfortunately for some out there, I don't think anybody in this room, inconsistent actually looks the opposite, which is making a bigger promise than they're able to deliver on and using branding to do that. Symptom number 3, your brand identity is incomplete. Now this could be because you got it done many years ago, and since then you've evolved, you've shifted the narrative, you've added new offers, you've grown, or it could be just because you've got some aspects of a brand identity complete, but not others, and so it results in being inconsistent. Symptom number 4, your brand is insecure. And the way we know this is you're not proud to send people to your website. You're concerned if people look you up on social media. And in fact, sometimes this looks like actually having website shame, where your website is hiding, even though every single person that does business with you will at some point go to your website or see you on social media that'll influence this decision. So today we're going to talk about going from website shame to website fame. Symptom number 5, your brand is irrelevant, or you're afraid of becoming irrelevant. And maybe it's that one day you were a big player in your industry. And since then, the industry has grown, competition has gone up, and what was once an innovative brand is now almost irrelevant in the face of competition, or at least you're afraid of it going in that direction. Symptom number 6, more than irrelevant, your brand is invisible. It's not heard and seen by those you wish to reach. And finally, symptom number 7, this is what we're all here for, is all of this leads to income loss. And you're here to double your sales, not lose your income. So today we get to upgrade your brand from identity crisis to iconic. We love, love, love what we do, and we love who we do it for. So this is the Influex love story. Today we stand on the shoulders of giants. Almost everything we're about to teach has been both a combination of our own creativity and learning and study, and what we've actually learned from working behind the scenes of these industry icons. We've done this now for over 200 industry icons and influencers. People like Dave Asprey, Joe Polish, Damon John, who's up next, Lewis Howes, Cameron Harold, Roger Hamilton, Jim Quick, Roland Frazier, Ryan Dice, Sean T., and in the earlier days, Frank Kern, Mike Dillard, some of our first clients for personal branding, and many others. And Mike Koenigs, who loved Mike's presentation yesterday. Mike is brilliant. I've learned so much about branding and marketing and positioning from Mike. And of course, many of their company brands as well. So this love story comes in 3 chapters. Chapter 1, world-class websites. Now, rewind back to college long before I started Influex. I'll share why I built my first website. I was in an MLM company. Anybody else been in an MLM company earlier days? Great. And so at the time, I was doing what the MLM company had taught me to do for marketing, which is call all my friends and family. And very quickly, I joined the NFL club. No friends left. And I was sick and tired of that, but I wanted the big vision that the company had sold as a possibility of success and freedom. And so I went online and started studying internet marketing and came across a guy named Mike Dillard. Used what he trained to start to do some magnetic marketing and built my first personal brand blog to create content and generate leads online. Now, apparently I did a pretty good job with the blog, started building them then for other network marketers. That started making me a lot more money than I was making from the actual MLM company. Then started doing it for small business owners. When I was 23, came across a man named Yannick Silver, who became my mentor, built his brand and website. He introduced me to Mike Dillard. I'm like, wow, I get to do this for one of my biggest heroes. We built MikeDillard.com as one of the first, really epic at the time, beautiful personal brand sites. We worked closely with Mike. And then Mike loved the site so much that he sent it out to his entire list. There was such a high demand in the response. And we were thrilled, but also frustrated. Thrilled because of the opportunity, frustrated because people kept asking us the same question. Which website template, which WordPress theme did you use to create that? We're like, no, we did not use a WordPress template or theme. This was deeply getting to know Mike and then expressing his essence and understanding everything that he knows about marketing and putting all of that into a website. And if we were to do it for you, it would be different because you're different. And then, before you know it, we're doing this for Frank Kern, Yannick Silver, Mike Koenigs, Joe Polish, Jeff Walker, so many of these top marketers. And Influex was born, a combination of influence and expression, because again, we believe your greatest influence, impact, and income comes through your fullest expression. At the time, we were still building primarily websites. We did a little bit of branding just to get the website right. And these are some of those early sites. Similar structure, but radically different expressions, right? Frank's looks like a direct response ad, Yannick's looks like his journal, and Mike's looks like his studio at the time, and wildly creatively expressed like Mike.
So chapter 2, signature, soul, brand. So on my journey, let's rewind to about over a decade ago. And much like actually many of you guys from who I've heard, I was actually on a very different kind of path. I was health and wellness coaching. I owned a yoga studio. And this is because I had been on a 10-year journey healing myself from chronic Lyme disease. And so for me, coming out of this healing journey, I had a big mission, right? Like so many of you guys out there and so many of the stories that I've heard, we have big missions. And I was falling short of getting that message, that healing message out there to the world. And at that particular time in my life, I thought that a brand was McDonald's, right? Like it was these big brands that just had the logo and the color, right? That was all that I thought a brand was. And so for me, I wanted so badly to get my message out, I just didn't know how. Like how do I get this out there to the world? And I found mentors much like Dima, where I started to discover that it was my story. It was the way that I presented my story. It was how I was speaking it. And it was not just how I was speaking it was the feeling in which I was trying to get across. And so I launched my very first brand called Femme Genius, where I was supporting women. And it wasn't very long until I started launching online courses, using everything that I was starting to learn about branding, because I found that the way, the feeling of how I delivered my message was actually what was magnetizing the people that I was desiring to serve. So it wasn't long until actually my clients started asking me, Carla, how are you doing this? How do you actually create this personal brand? And what I realized was a personal brand, a brand that really gives this meaning and this feeling of the message, it comes from who we are, not from what we do necessarily. It's first from who we are. That's the message. And so I actually, long story short, launched my about 17 online courses using what I knew about personal branding and creating meaning. And one of my very most successful of those was called Signature Soul Brand, how to bring the heart and soul into your messaging and into that magnetic marketing.
So chapter
Chapter 3.
iconic brands. It starts at Burning Man.
As many stories, as many of the most ridiculous stories do.
Waking Dreams 2022. Right after the man burns, one of the last nights of Burning Man, Carla and I meet. We're in our full radical self-expression. She is singing and rapping and DJing and dancing. I'm like, I have to meet this woman. And that called forth my fullest self-expression. And so I started rapping back. And our lyrics and music and vibe just resonated so much that we spent hours that night speaking, getting to know each other. And then right before each of us was gonna drive out, I found her camp and I said, where are you going? Would you like a co-pilot? And we drove out of Burning Man together. We hadn't spoken about what we do yet. And I asked in the car, hey, you mentioned business a few times. What do you do?
I said I design and refine personal brands for female entrepreneurs.
I said, wow. I define and design personal brands for influencers. And so, we'll get to that in a second. And so this is how Influex 2.0 was born, because we realized that what I thought was a website agency that just did some branding really is a branding agency and a branding process where we get to extract the essence of those we serve and build our brands. And I learned so much from Carla about what a brand is at that point. And so Influex 2.0 was born, and so was our relationship. So we love what we do, we love who we do it for, and we love who we do it with. And we kept talking a lot. We love to talk and philosophize, and we asked ourselves, what is a brand, really? What is a brand? Anybody here just throw out an idea of define what a brand is to you? A movement. Who else? Identity. Yes. A feeling, yes. A repeatable experience. Ooh, yes, I love these definitions.
Yeah.
A mission, yes. So all of these things. And we believe that all of those things can largely be summed up as your brand is the bridge between who you are and who you serve. Your brand is the bridge between who you are and who you serve. And this is one of those that's worth writing down if you're taking notes. In other words,
Yeah. So, we live in a world that we wish that we were not judged, right, by our very first perception or our very first moment of seeing someone or something. And so, yes, it is who you are and who you serve, but also it's the bridge between your personality and the very first perception that someone is going to see or someone's going to experience. You can keep going.
so personality matters. In fact, if you have a personal brand in here, raise your hand. If you're not raising your hand, here's proof that personality matters. 65% of consumers say that a brand's CEO influences their decision to buy. And so if you're not raising your hand, know that your personality and your personal brand, even if you're focused on a company or product brand, still influences your audience's decision to buy. So everyone here has a personal brand. And in fact, there's a brand triangle that's incorporated in every brand. Your personal brand, your company brand, and your product brand. Your personal brand is much more focused on who you are. Your company brand brings them all together, but your product brand is focused on your audience and conversion and influence. Perception matters.
Right, so something to note is that we have something called an anchoring bias. And that means that whatever information I'm to see of you for the very first time is actually going to be the information that influences my opinion or my way of seeing you for the rest of time. And so that means that when someone lands on your website for the very first moment, I just want you to check in. What are they seeing? Because that's going to be the information that they're going to take with them for the rest of time, even if they get new information later. It's called the anchoring bias. And so perception starts with your very first impression. And we actually have only research now studies and shows that we have about 7 seconds, only 7 seconds alone, to actually create that very first impression.
And as Michael Fishman said yesterday, the first impression must earn their attention. And so you have 7 seconds to earn their attention and influence their perception in a way that then impacts the rest of the journey with your brand. So how do you do that? How do you make a great first impression? It's through words and visuals. So there's 2 core components to an iconic brand identity for it to be complete. It's for your brand to feel, for you to feel seen and heard.
A little close to the microphone so there's a little feedback. If you stand
yes.
maybe a little closer.
And for your brand to be seen and heard requires your verbal brand identity and your visual brand identity. So I'm going to go into some of the verbal brand identity and give you some brand hacks around this, because you want to express a magnetic message that connects and converts to your audience. We create something we call a messaging manifesto. It's the verbal brand identity. It includes a lot: your voice and tone, your core headlines, what we call authority amplifiers, the credibility, success stories, media recognition, your origin stories, sound bites and quotes, defines your audience and your avatar. We're not going to go into all of those, but I want to give you the #1 brand hack to make the best first impression from your brand. And we call these headlines from the heart. Because your brand is to your business what your heart is to your body. So these are headlines from the heart. And they make that great first impression because they also reach your audience's heart. So let's do some brand hacking of industry icons. I'm going to give you 5 headline hacks. Headline hack #1, your brand promise. This is your promise. So now, as you're looking at these examples, also think about the above the fold on your website and how you can use these to workshop and improve the first experience that people have in those first 7 seconds. So your brand promise for Matthew Hussey is, and he's one of the world's top dating experts for women, get more than just dating advice. Fall in love with your life. Who thinks that's a powerful headline from the heart? Yes. And then that invites a conversation. Hey, it's Matthew. Let's get your personalized solution. Now those 2 combined actually quadrupled his conversion rate above the fold. So he's making a promise. He's making a promise in a powerful way that's more than just the solution itself, but it's actually what these women want in their hearts. Because they're not there for dating advice. They're there to love their lives and love their love lives. And then invites them into a conversation, personalized. Genius Network. Is Joe in the room? No, he's not up this early yet. All right, so Joe's promise is that the world's best entrepreneurs are here. I'm in Genius Network. I agree with this statement. Michael, world's best entrepreneurs. Yes, so, and then defines it in the benefits. Genius Network builds you into a better entrepreneur through health, wealth, and ELF. Arnie Meisel, making founders replaceable. As a founder, who wants to be replaceable so you can have freedom from your business? Right, great. So we help entrepreneurs, founders, and CEOs build a business that can run and grow without you. Mike Koenigs, I help experts build empires. So if you're an expert, you want to build an empire, you're in the right place. Let's co-create your recession-proof, competition-proof category of one brand for you and your business. So these are promise-based headlines. Headline hack number 2. Your brand is your stand, and this is based on brand beliefs. Biohacking conference, live beyond 180. This is something Dave firmly believes. It's also in some ways a promise. He's not promising you're necessarily going to live beyond 180, but this is a core belief of Dave and the whole team that puts together Biohacking conference. And it says a lot in just a few words. Kent Clothier, belief, and his stand, the time is now, comes from his story when he was on an airplane and the plane started going down and he thought he might die. And he tells that story in a way that then influences not just a sense of urgency to do business with him, but a sense of urgency to make the most you can of your life. And this is a real estate guru with masterminds and software and products, says nothing about real estate above the fold in the site, but invites in a narrative. The time is now, and creates urgency and meaning. Dr. Masa, on the website, this rotates through, you are the doctor, you are the miracle, you are the medicine that you've been looking for. Invites people to be their own healers. Her brand is her stand. This is a belief. So if you think about the above the fold in your website, right? Promise is one option. And especially when it comes to a personal brand, what do you believe to be true? Why do you do what you do? What's something that's in your story that you can bring in as a core visceral belief that you can install into the minds and hearts of your prospects? Headline hack number 3, iconic identity. It's who you are. Dave, father of biohacking. Not just creator of biohacking, not just founder or creator or leader of the biohacking industry, but father of biohacking. What does a father do? Provides, protects, nurtures, is there for the long term, wants the best for the future and the next generation, cares, considers the whole biohacking community his family. Father of biohacking, iconic identity. Joe, one word that stands for everything Joe is and does. Connected, also the name of his documentary. So ask yourself, who are you? And how can that come into your message? That's the first thing people see in a way that says more than just a benefit-driven headline, which you can combine these. Headline hack number 4. This usually goes in your About page. In Ari Meisel's case, because we had a strong business site making founders replaceable, origin story goes on his homepage for his personal brand, right from tragic to magic. Invites into his story, and then there's some identity pieces kind of done in a fun way that has you want to get to know him. Now this site is more focused on connection than conversion, so we can do this. And so when it comes to your brand, you want to tell your story, not just your bio. Your bio supersizes you. Your story creates connection and trust and vulnerability. And finally, headline hack number 5, your process. Ellen and Randy, build, proof, sell. Above the fold, build, people, and profit. Prove your model, sell your story. Every business has a story, what's yours worth? And they help companies and founders position for and then have successful exits. Now they could just say, hey, we help founders and companies position for and have successful exits. You find that out through the site, and the whole brand is built around the process, which is also the promise. But men, you ever heard this where you're saying something to your partner, and she says back to you, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. on a website, your tone of voice, if you read enough copy, it'll come across. But in those first few words, your tone of voice, how loud you're saying it, your range doesn't come across. But what does come across is what they see. So how you say it comes across in what you see.
Right, and it's not just how you say it, but it's what they are seeing on the website. And so your message is here to be heard, but it's also here to be seen. And so something we want to dive into here is that the visual identity is actually what they're going to receive in those first 7 seconds, even potentially before seeing that headline or before seeing the messaging. And so to get this right is to allow for that first impression to nail. And so people are more likely to actually buy based on their feelings than logical minds, right? We have those impulses for buying, and we buy because of a desire of who we could be in the future, of who we see ourselves as. And so this is so critical, is that we've got to get the mood right. And so we're gonna go into a little brand hack here of your mood board. Now the mood board, it represents the feeling, it represents through different photos, icons, symbols. It's going to bring through motifs. It's going to bring through the colors, the aesthetic. It's going to bring through the mood. And so Dima was just talking about our clients build, prove, sell. This is their mood board, right? Immediately, we receive a feeling. It's clean, it's professional. There's time, right? You have time to create. We're seeing there's, even the lighting is giving us a feeling. And so through this, we cultivate and find those colors, the colors that really have this color psychology, right? Each color actually has a mood, it has a frequency, it has a feeling. And so if we can get very intentional about the colors that we're using in our brand, they're going to create that feeling. Same with the typography. You might not even know it, but your typography is quite literally influencing the minds of how people feel. If I use a sans serif, it's going to have a more flavorful, fun, kind of playful feel, as opposed to if I use a serif, it's going to have a more professional feel. It same goes with how much space do you put between the typography. So these are all things we want to start to think about when we're starting to nail down the mood of our brand and how it comes across. And so I'm going to give you a little brand hack shortcut here. And we're going to talk about the archetypes. Have any of you guys out there heard about the 12 brand archetypes created by Carl Jung? Some of you. So these 12 brand archetypes are really infiltrated into our collective consciousness. And we can see these different characters, right? An archetype is kind of a character in which we see and comes already pre-created with a voice, with a vision, with visuals. And so, Dima, if you can help me pull up those.
Yes.
So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. I want you guys to take those logical minds of yours and poof them out for just a moment. Let's actually all do that. Let's take our logical minds, poof. We're going to get into feeling. We're going to teach how to feel right now. So I'm going to go through some of these. I'm going to go through all of the brand archetypes quickly. And I want you guys, in the quick amount of time that I go through them, is to actually tap in to what these visuals, how they make you feel, okay? And I'm going to actually ask you guys to call out a couple words as we go through. So this one is called the Explorer brand. And I'm just going to go through it. I'm going to invite you guys, how does it, right off the bat, use your intuition, use your feeling. Call out a couple words. How does this get you to feel? Adventure. Do you mind? Might need inspired. Expansive. Yes. Dima, I might need your fingers for some reason.
Here I go.
Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, we have the innocent archetype. Now, I'm also going to invite you guys, as you're feeling these, are there any that you resonate with on a more profound level? So how does this one make you feel? The innocent archetype. Fresh. Calm. Pure. Yeah. And just notice, does this resonate for you? How does it make you feel? Now let's go into the sage brand archetype. Call out a couple words here. Mysterious, interesting, beautiful. Smart. Clever. Oh yeah, beautiful. All right, let's head over into the hero brand. A little bit of a different feeling right off the bat. How does this one make you feel? Strong. Beautiful. Uh-huh.
Would you like me to switch them off for you?
Yeah, it's just
Yes, I got it.
I think it's just frozen.
Okay. Uh-oh.
So right off the bat, you're starting to feel, and you're starting to realize that these predetermined categories or characters are already starting to create a feeling within you. Still paused. There we go, almost. Yay.
Trying to scroll
right.
them too far.
Okay, we've got the Maverick brand. So, oh yeah, that just paused as
Try
well.
not to scroll down too far.
Yeah, got it. All right, so while we're stuck on this little
you can
moment,
see Maverick brand.
you guys can
Here,
see.
I'll start to switch them over for you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so
So we have the Maverick brand. Let's see, how does this one make you feel? Rebellious, yeah. We can go to the next one. Beautiful. We have the Magician. So what does this one make you feel? It's totally different than the Maverick, right? How do we feel when we see these colors and feeling and these images? Mystical, bright, yes. And we have the Citizen, or the Every Guy or Every Girl brand. How do we feel when we start to look at this? The wood tones, it's kind of a different, grounded, beautiful, rustic, yes. Love it. We have the Lover brand archetype. So let's take a look at this. How do we feel when we see these different colors, flowers? Romantic, yes. Feminine. Beautiful. We have the Entertainer brand, right? Playful. What else do we feel? Fun, yes. Continue onwards. And we have the Caregiver. When we see this, what comes to mind? What pops up? How's your feeling? Family. And we have the Royal archetype. When we see this royal, how does this make us feel? Bougie. Love that. Yes, for sure. Magnetic. Okay. So see, here's an interesting word here. Is magnetic. Is it what you're feeling, or is it now what you're resonating with, right? So now I want you guys to start to feel into, or were there any of these? Is there one more?
yes.
There's one more. There's the Creator brand, right? So let's feel into this one just for a moment. How do we feel with the Creator? Any words that come to mind? Vibrant. Exciting, yes. Innovative. Beautiful, beautiful. So as I was saying, right now we've seen all of these different 12 archetypes, and they all have a very different feeling about them. So when I go in and I work with a brand, what I can do right away, I can almost stand with you for 5 minutes and almost immediately pinpoint your major core brand archetype just by understanding who you are and what you stand for. And something that I've made a discovery of recently, and over the past 2 years I've really dove into this is that now because of social media and because of this beautiful World Wide Web that we have, that actually just playing as one brand archetype and marketing and creating a brand based on one brand archetype doesn't work as well as creating up to 3 brand archetypes. So you can actually have, I mean, we are all 12 of the brand archetypes. We literally have all 12 of them inside of us based on the feeling that they curate. But you're gonna have one primary, and then you're gonna have what I like to call these 2 wings. And I love to play, can we go back to the brand slides? And I love to play with these different wings because when I create it, when I understand what your wings are, I'm creating you, a very unique, interesting character that has a different way of playing in the world. So if we go to, can we go to the slides? Yeah, let's go through those. Yeah. Right, so when we head over to Dave's and we see Dave's beautiful, mood board there, Dave came to us with a lot of colors. Normally, brands are playing with about 1 or 2 colors. And so when I receive this information, I'm starting to ask myself, what are the different players or characters here? Because that's what I really want you guys to get, is that your brand becomes a character on this stage of life. And so Dave, we realized right away, of course, he's the Maverick brand. Remember that brand that we just saw that was very rebellious, has that rebel energy to it? So that might be one of his primary brand characters. But then entertainer brand, the entertainer is all about joy and fun, making people laugh. You can feel that right away from this one up here in the right-hand corner. And then, of course, the creator energy. This is all about innovation, being the first, going first. Big energy, right? So what we can do is we can actually start to see what are the characters that you're playing as, and how do we bring them all together? Yeah.
Yes.
And so something that you guys are going to receive, I don't know if we have the link up here.
Yes.
Something you guys are going to receive is that I have slides for each and every one of these brand archetypes, and it's going to give you a deep dive into understanding not just the feeling and the aesthetics, but also the voice, the visuals, the tone, the messaging, the taglines that these archetypes come with. So you guys will receive all of those slides so that you can then take them with you outside of here and start to look, what's my brand character? What's my primary brand character? And then what might be my wings that are going to help to facilitate your very unique and intriguing brand character in the marketplace?
All right, there's a slide back. So influex.com/brandhack.
Yeah, if you guys want to write that down, we have a lot of different resources in there. You'll see all of those 12 Pinterest boards that I just brought up. You'll have access to each and every one of those. You can go and get inspired by the different, there's a lot of branding in there. You can get inspired once you find out what your brand character is and what your brand archetype is. Get inspired to use those Pinterest boards. You'll have all of the slides that will give you more details. And we have a couple of other sneak peeks into helping you to design and refine your brand.
Yes. Rebecca, how are we doing on time? Is Damon here? Okay, excellent. So, well, we've got 10 minutes on this clock. We could wrap up in 3 or 5.
We could do, remember who you are? Or,
well, let's.
I think that's a good one. Once you remember, don't forget.
Let's maybe wrap up what we've got.
Okay.
Rebecca, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, less, 10. We have 10 on the clock. 3.
Cool.
Okay.
I think we
Can
should
you
do
do
it.
the meditation?
I think we should do remember who you are.
All right.
Yeah. Would you guys really like a wrap up?
A wrap up. Yes. All right. So first I'll finish with these slides and then let's.
Perfect. We got 3 minutes.
So ultimately, why are you here? Why are you here at the conference? Why are you here at the summit? Why are you in business? Why are you here on this planet? And we believe, firstly, you are here to be. Before anything you do, you are here to be. You are here to be you. You're here to be you. You are here to be you, to fully express. That's why you're here on this planet, to be you, to fully express. You are here to be you, to fully express your soul. You are here to be you, to fully express your soul. You are here to beautifully express your soul. And living your brand to its fullest expression is your opportunity to do that. So we will wrap up with a wrap-up. We'll go a cappella.
Keep it a little slow for us here, guys. There we go. Once you remember, don't forget to never question who you are. Ask yourself, who am I? Let that question be your star on this quest that you've embarked to the center of your heart. Let that question be the death of all the parts that kept you in the dark, kept you separate and apart from the depth of who you are. Let's remember who we are. We were rendered from the stars. We were sent here to embark on a quest to make our mark through expression of our art. Born as bodies torn from God, separate from the start, to live as the creation of our individuation with a separate set of cards, each with lessons to impart. The remembrance we brought is that together we go farther than we ever could apart. And together we are better than we ever were apart. It's true.
That the better that we are at remembering our hearts means the less it will be hard to remember to surrender when forgetting who we are. When the memories and scars we've collected in a jar of resentment disconnect us from the essence of our hearts. When the fire we arrive with glows as embers in the dark, we'll remember through surrender that an ember is a spark.
Our reflection
reconnects us to the best of who we are.
Yesterday
we entered with a destiny to carve. Today let us be present with the essence of our hearts. Live with no regrets will be a memory tomorrow. Never meant to live forever. We are destined to depart.
Blessed to
be remembered that our essence left a mark. I'll surrender to my death, having left with no regrets, to forever be remembered for the message of my heart.
What's the message? What's the message of your heart? Ask your heart, who am I? Let that message be your star.
As you surrender to the answer and remember who you are. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dave, for the stage.
Thank you guys so much. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
No.
Thank you,
Guys, I knew that when you came in this morning, bright and early, got pumped up with coffee, and you thought you were going to be talking about like web design, right? And look what you just did. So you never know where you're going to go, but it's always good.
Yeah,
So guys,
thanks,
thank you.
Thank
Really
you, Dave.
appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll be back here if you have any questions later on today, guys. Thank you.
And guys, are we bringing chairs up? So who's doing chairs? You know what they call that? Charity. Too early for dad jokes? Never. Now, do you like the vest? Check this thing out. It is not. It has a big hole in the back. It can be bulletproof. But the reason I'm bringing that up, and actually the reason I wore it today, is if you decide that you're going to be the public face of your brand, it comes at great expense. It involves privacy. It involves